right, so with me now is Alison Wisnom, one of our awesome agent heroes here at Millie. And for those of you who don't know what an agent hero is, they are rock star agents who are all veterans and military spouses. And in this case, Miss Alison is a veteran herself. She is also kind of famous for being in a TV show. I know she gets embarrassed when I brag on her about this, but she was in Hawaii Life on HGTV. I'm sorry, Alison. Coolest thing about you. I can't even lie.
Come on, that is not the coolest thing
I'm
about
joking.
me.
I'm joking. Allison, tell us a little bit about what you do as an agent, why you love working with military families.
Sure, absolutely. So I actually live in Annapolis, Maryland now. I don't live anywhere near Hawaii anymore, although the previous segment was making me really miss a lot
I
of things.
bet.
I'm like, oh, I want to go hike.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an agent with Coldwell Banker. As Kelly mentioned, I'm a veteran. I do really enjoy working with military families. Probably about 65% of my business is military or government related. I also am an instructor for the military relocation professional designation for realtors. So I do kind of make it my mission in life to correct a lot of the misperceptions and just to teach agents who might not know much about military moves and VA financing, what it's all about, and just try to put the good word out there for people.
Yeah, I feel like often their heart's in the right place. There's just such a gap in like knowledge and cultural competency. So I love that you're doing that. I love that you're helping kind of bridge that gap a little bit. So thanks. Keep it up. We need more of that.
Yes, yes.
All right. So I wanted to touch a little bit about the sight unseen process. So that's kind of what we tease in our description. We want to make sure people are considering all of the potential factors of an OCONUS PCS. And oftentimes, if you've got folks who are overseas headed back to the States, maybe they're looking at a situation where buying is something that's on their radar when they come back. However, they are overseas. So, talk to us about what buying a house sight unseen looks like, maybe some of the things that they can expect from their agent, they should expect from their agent, shall we say. Yeah,
Sure.
just walk us through that.
I think the first thing starts with the level of comfort that the buyer has. If you're somebody if you're flexible, if you are comfortable with technology, maybe if it's somewhere that you've been before or lived before, if you visited there or something like that, you just have some familiarity. If your agent can talk with you about what their location is similar to that you might know. So, for example, I've lived a lot of places, so I can usually find something, a frame of reference that's similar for a buyer, right? But then there are some people who really just should not buy sight unseen. If you're finding it hard to get a handle on neighborhoods or price point or quality, I mean, those are all things that your agent can acclimate you to a point. But I think it's really a personal decision. And, it's one that you are ultimately responsible for, because at some point you're going to have to sign a form that says, I'm holding everybody else in this transaction harmless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's my choice.
I made this decision with my big girl britches on. Yeah, we talk a lot about self-awareness when it comes to everything. I mean, it's awareness of what your family needs are. It's awareness of what your kids' needs are as kids, as learners, and then as a buyer. What are you comfortable with? What are your risk tolerances, so to speak, especially when it comes with something so large as a home transaction? So what kind of services do you offer alongside that as an agent that folks can maybe feel a little bit better about knowing that it's out there?
Yeah. So, I mean, anytime I hear from somebody who is starting their PCS process, they're saying, we've got orders, we're 6 months out or 3 months out or 3 days out, whatever it is, right? We know how it goes. I'm first of all trying to set up searches for them so that they can see what kinds of homes we have in these different price points. And even if it's 6 months out and those same homes aren't going to be available, then at least they can see how fast the market's moving, how prices are getting bid up or not, what kinds of things sell faster, just to, more information, the better, just to acclimate you. And then I'm always happy to do video tours with people. I can go out to a property and take video depending on the buyer's availability, or we can Skype or FaceTime, or any other tools to do live video tours through properties. When I do that, I'm typically, I want to make sure that I overshare I really want you to be happy with the property once you arrive. The worst thing is that you've signed on the dotted line and you're disappointed when you show up. So I really want to make sure that I point out everything, in a property. I take video of the drive into the neighborhood. I take video of the surrounding houses. Like, look, you don't live next to a hoarder house.
Right.
Community amenities. We can go do a little drive through of, the town, right? Just to see, what the standard is. Inside a house, I really take it kind of top to bottom. Like, I like video because you can really point out for people and make people focus on something because I'm controlling the camera, right? So I can go top to bottom, and go, okay, ceiling, walls, cabinets, countertop, flooring, like point out every little, scuff, right?
Yeah, I think one thing too that I'd like to just point out is the fact that you can do this with empathy because you've done it on the other end, right? You've been the mover, you've been the home buyer before. And just even like you're saying, like driving through, what does a day through town look like? Like, what does driving to Target look like? You know what I mean? Like, it's not important necessarily. Like, that doesn't necessarily help drive a decision on which house to buy, but it helps you get a feel for what you're moving to where you're like psychologically starting to sort of acclimate to your potential new home. I think that's huge. So you guys, those are things that you should be looking for. You should be asking of your agents. They should not feel uncomfortable doing this for you, especially if they have said, we want to help military folks because this is our life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think it can be done. It does take a certain level of confidence of the agent to do it. Some agents really aren't the personality of agent to do it. And some buyers are not the personality of buyers to do it.
That's true. Yeah.
And if I ever get the feeling that somebody that I'm touring with that way is not on board or is hesitant or, I don't want to get sued. I don't need the business so badly, right? That I'm willing to take that kind of risk.
We often tell people, even if they're using, no matter who they're using, if they're using a network, if they're using, just somebody that they saw on Zillow, you need to have those initial conversations and have them as if they're an interview. You're interviewing this professional to see if it's a good fit for you, if it's a good communication fit. They're presenting themselves in the way that they said that they were, right? Like, there's all these kinds of vetting sort of processes you can put an agent through or a professional through, but more than anything, just have a conversation. You can tell who you're going to click with, who you're going to work well with, usually just from a phone call. So definitely do that. Alison, quickly, tell me what some of the biggest conversations are you're having with your military clients right now, just given the market and given everything. I know I'm giving you like zero time to get into like an hour-long conversation probably. What would you say is like the top challenge that military families are facing?
But it is a seller's market. It is a multiple offer. It's a lot of cash you're competing against. It's escalation clauses. It's people in some places waiving inspections entirely. I mean, all of these kinds of things. So understand locally what's happening, get that real scoop from the agent. Even within our area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, there are lots of different micro markets where that pace is extreme or that pace is, it's a hustle, right?
There's no good slow. It's just real fast.
Right.
Take heart, families. It's going to be fine.
Well, okay. So for instance, like I'm only licensed in Maryland. I was coordinating with an agent who's licensed in Virginia, and we were helping a client look at both Northern Virginia and Maryland.
Yep.
And what they could get in Northern Virginia for $600,000 was, a 2-bedroom townhouse that needed renovation. Whereas they came to Maryland and they got a 3,000 square foot brand new basic house that they could improve. Wow. Right. So, I mean, but in those two places are, 20 miles apart.
Right. Okay. Do you have any words of encouragement is always what we like to leave people with. So if they're looking at potentially an OCONUS move where they're going to be buying a house, Alison, what would you say to that person?
What I'm saying to anybody right now is if you have a house to sell it early. Okay. Get it sold. Sell it now before interest rates go higher. Sell it now so that you put yourself in the best position to buy sooner. talking with, listening to Beth talk about, leaving Hawaii, right? If she had a house to sell in Hawaii, I'd say get that thing on the market 90 days before you're leaving.
Wow.
And it is property preparation is just less important right now
Right.
than
Yeah.
timing.
Yep.
So even if you don't have the time to make it perfect, right, get it on the market, get it sold, move into temporary housing on the leaving end, so that when you land or when you start looking sight unseen, you are clear of that past house.
Yeah, it's unnerving, but y'all, if anybody can do it, we can. So, great advice. Thank you, Alison, so much for your time. I hope to see you in real life very soon. All right.
I hope so. I was happy to help.
Take care.